Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. How does one find the truth in an issue? Or how does an investigator find what happened? Well, by trying to accumulate together as much information, data, as possible. That information and data that's relevant to the case or whatever to the issue at hand. Now, if I would like to investigate some allegations, let's say, someone, let's say, blew up the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines, and I am objective in trying to find out who did it and why, the first thing, who did it. I would like to gather all the information possible, and I would try to access all the entities that are pro finding the truth. I would try to access them. And if they're good people and they're not involved or don't hide anything, they will provide me with everything they got. If they are for the truth, because that's a very important issue, don't you think? Now, let's say I'm going to the police department and I say I would like to access the file of this alleged perpetrator, and they say, no, we're not going to give you anything. You don't need to know anything about it. What's the first thing? Okay, maybe just a proceeding garbage. Maybe it's a bureaucracy. I have to submit a request or something. No, we're not going to give it to you. Why? What would you think? Is this guy connected with these guys? With the police department? And the response is like this, so I cannot find what happened? Because these guys obviously block my ability to gather maybe relevant information on these guys' movements or past crimes or criminal history or whatever. So when you have entities not cooperating, the first suspicion is it can't be incompetence. No, if it's incompetence, we're going to find a way, but it's not a desire. First is suspicion. Why is that? Do you have anything to hide? Obviously. Now, what's going on over here? It's not protecting privacy and so on in a crime. Do we want to find out if this guy did it or not? Or no? Privacy. I understand there's protocols that must be followed, but nevertheless, the cat is right here. If you want to find the truth, you want to get as much information about an issue. If someone blocks that, it's suspicious, don't you think? Now, let's look at this article. Russia Today, 4th of May. European Union state, and this is a state, right there, rules out international Nord Stream probe. Such an investigation would achieve nothing, the Swedish Foreign Ministry told the agency. How do you know? It's like you go and investigate something and the police said, oh, don't investigate, Mr. Kaufman, you're not going to achieve anything. How do you know? You know that you're going to make sure that I don't reach anywhere? You're going to make sure that my, let's say, the outcome of my investigation will be blocked somewhere higher than my position? How do you know will not achieve anything? How do you have how do you call it, crystal ball? All right, so what's going on over here? Let's go a little bit chronological. We know the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 were blown up. Destroyed, not an accident by God, God just leaned on that and broke them. Not like that. It was an explosion. A few explosions, actually, if I remember correctly. Now, that is very interesting because the Americans said, oh, we're going to stop that, we're going to do this. There were some guys who said they will not allow the contract to start between the flow of gas between Russia and Germany will not start. The Americans said clearly, we're going to stop it, we're going to stop it. That's 100% suspect right there. And if you don't believe me, remember, if someone says, well, I'm definitely going to the neighbor, regardless if I do it legally or illegally, I'm going to and then let's say the neighbor gets in one night by someone in the street. Who do you think is going to be the first suspect? Whoop, right here. Nevertheless, United States, no, denied. Everybody shut the fuck up. All right. Now what happened? That location was exactly between Germany, Denmark, and Sweden, but more between Denmark and Sweden's economic region or commerce that doesn't allow jurisdiction to others to come and investigate. So the Russians and Germans could not investigate, do not have access to certain things. So only Denmark and Sweden. Sweden wanted to come into NATO, which it did, and Denmark helped the NSA have access to the communication of Merkel in the European Union. So that tells me Denmark is lapdog of the United States of America, and Sweden was conquered by the United States of America without a fire shot. That tells me these guys are not objective. So they are stained. All right, they investigated. They didn't allow the Russians, they did not allow an international investigation. They said, we're going to do it. It took them a year and a half almost as to say, someone did it, both Denmark and Sweden. I think Sweden was first. Someone did it, but we don't know whom. And we're going to transfer the information to Germany. Then I think the Danes did the same thing. We found someone did it, but we don't know who. But not United States of America. No. How do you know? There's no evidence. But why do you claim you have to say? What about Bangladesh? What about my friends from Zimbabwe? Why didn't you mention them? Because they never said they want to blow that up or stop it. Remember? So they stopped. Russia said, you know what, we want access. We want to cooperate. We want to be involved. We want to be part of this joint investigation. We want to find out the truth. What did Denmark and Sweden say? No. Why not? Why not? Hiding something? Incompetence? I don't think incompetence. They were hiding something. So that means they don't want the truth to come out. Now what happened next? Russia went to the United Nations lately and said, we demand an investigation on Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. We demand that. Nothing happened so far, and I don't think ever will happen. Not ever. I don't have a crystal ball, do I? But I don't think that we have a chance if things remain as they are. I don't think we're going to find out officially who did it. People are going to come bring evidence with time that they did it, blah, 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 but these guys will deny forever. And they're going to tell us the big stupidity that they were a group of diverse 6 men and a woman on a yacht doing it. Please, for baboons, that's a movie. They believe in those things. Hey, it's a real life story. It's based on real. Anyway, deal with that. I dealt with it. I was like, how much is based on real life? 1% on a real story? 0.5%? 80%? 90%? Anyway, let's move back. And now Sweden comes and says, why? Because of the request of the Russians, you're not going to find anything. We oppose. Why? Don't you want to find out the truth? Why do you oppose? If you oppose an international investigation, that means you don't want the truth to be found out. Why do you care? It says they will achieve nothing. If they achieve nothing, why do you care? That's a lie. You know that's going to achieve something, and outcome is not going to be favorable to you. Maybe you were involved too. Let's see. And I suspect all those guys over there in the area were. That's why my suspicion, my prediction. Here, such an investigation, international Nord Stream, would achieve nothing. The Swedish foreign minister told the agency. And he's a foreign minister. He should be diplomatic and he has to be smart. Maybe he is, but not for his country. There is no need, he says, for an international investigation into the explosions on the Nord Stream 1 and 2 natural gas pipelines, Sweden's foreign minister has told RIA Novosti news agency. There's no need. Who are you to say? Why don't we ask the rape victim if she thinks is necessary an investigation to find out if Gigi did it or Baluba to Buba Papaluba Kapaluba? Why don't we ask them? Why don't we ask the guys that really are affected by that? The German company and the Russian company. Why don't ask those guys if they think it's necessary? It's property. That's international terrorism. And the state of Sweden, who used to be supposedly neutral to one point, remember? The Norwegian, and now, and I think it was Norway, not Finland. Norwegian and Swedish and Swiss neutrality was hailed. They lost it big time. Why? That tells us this is grabbed by the interests, not by what these guys are lecturing us. Last week, China's deputy envoy to the UN, Gang Shuang, called for a probe into the September 22 blasts that ruptured the pipelines. Not only that, Russia did as well, which were built to deliver Russian gas to Germany and the rest of Europe. Countries should work together on an investigation to bring the perpetrators to justice in order to prevent the reoccurrence of similar incidents, Gang said. Don't you think that's a valid point? If someone doesn't get punished, what is he going to do next? Do it again. And not that he's not caught. He's protected from being caught. That gives you a blank check. I'm going to do it again and again and again. If you know the chief of the police and you commit a crime and the chief of police hides those things, what are you going to do? With impunity, you're going to do it again. And as the Romanian saying, cine fură azi un ou, mâine va fura un bou. That is, who steals today an egg, tomorrow the same person will steal an ox. A big animal, let's put it this way. All right. When asked about Beijing's proposal by RIA Novosti on Friday, the Swedish foreign ministry insisted that there is no need, he declared, for an international investigation. It's going to achieve nothing. I would like to know who did it. I consider that the minimum achievement. The minimum achievement. I would like to know who did it. Then we can move on if that entity could be punished, that is brought to justice, which will not. But don't you think that answer will damage, at least even in the baboon's eyes? It's really too hard. It's too hard to ignore. I mean, they have to put their ostrich's head deep into the fucking sand until they reach the other side of the globe. This is what the ostriches will do, in denial. We don't want to hear, we don't want to know. It's cowards. Cowards. Afraid of reality? Wow. Anyway, I'm quoting, an investigation into incidents was carried out by Swedish authorities in accordance with the fundamental principles, you say, of independence, impartiality, and the rule of law. Other national investigations are still ongoing. Like what? Denmark? The ministry added, and Germany, I think. Sweden conducted its own probe as the explosions of the Nord Stream pipelines occurred in the country's exclusive economic zone. Germany and Denmark carry out separate inquiries. However, in February, the Swedish and Danish investigations were aborted. That means abortion. Stockholm said it had come to the conclusion that the case did not fall under Jewish, Swedish, my bad, Sigmund Freud, who's Jewish too, which Copenhagen concluded that there was deliberate sabotage. So these guys, the Swedes, said the case did not fall under Swedish jurisdiction. We're done. But why in the fuck you prevented everybody else to do it? Like the Russians. Why did you investigate if it doesn't fall under Jewish again? Jesus Christ. It was SCW over there anyway. Jewish jurisdiction. While Copenhagen, the Denmark, concluded there was deliberate sabotage of the pipelines. Okay, that's the beginning. That's a start. But found insufficient grounds to pursue criminal proceedings. Okay, but at least can you tell us who the suspects are and what did you find? Remember, it doesn't mean, when I was working on investigations, we had preponderance. We didn't have beyond any, how do you call it, reasonable doubt. We didn't have 99%. Beyond any reasonable doubt is 99 and up. We had 51%. 51% means a preponderance of evidence. We had this. When you conclude an investigation, then you come with an outcome. There would be 3 if I remember correctly. 1, no evidence. That is no evidence, 0. That was very, very rare. Very, maybe 1 in 200 investigations. No. That would be a lie somewhere, complete lie. Second one would be insufficient evidence to support the allegations made. And the other ones would be a preponderance of evidence to support the allegations that the allegations were true. That means, yes, we found more than 51%. And in the job that I was doing, we were instructed like this: do not write over there no evidence to support the allegations, because you got some evidence somewhere. So avoid that at all cost. I mean, Avoid that. Say insufficient. And most of the investigations ended up in insufficient evidence to support the allegations. Boom. These guys say insufficient grounds. Insufficient grounds to pursue criminal proceedings. Criminal proceedings, if I remember, are if you have some grounds that exceed a certain percentage amount. What are they? Can you tell us who are the guys who insufficient? Let's say it's 98%, or let's say 50% or 49%. But who is that at 49? Can you tell us at least? Can we know? Who did you consider in your investigation? No. Why? Well, they don't have to. They don't have. As of now, the biggest suspect, as I said before, is this guy right here. The guys who said they will do it. And then very low on the list are the Brits, the Norwegians, and others around there, Sweden, Denmark, and Ukrainians are zero, just so you know. The Poles, Poland, because they've said Poland might be. Poland is, again, 0.5%. Let's not even. They will not do it. Ukrainians can't, and they did not. It's the guys who can do it, because you have to have the means, and you have to have the benefit of doing that. Ukrainians might have the need, the benefit, but they don't have the means. If you think they're going to go down there with some, go down and scuba diving like in Bahamas, those are movies. Stop with James Bond and Rambo. Shit, okay, those are movies. Sorry to break the Santa Claus is... All right, Russia is carrying out its own investigation without having access to evidence, I'm guessing, into the Nord Stream blast despite the refusal of Western nations to cooperate. Prosecutor General Igor Krasnov, even if the Russians say who it was and they bring the evidence, these guys are going to stick their heads in the sand. Said earlier, and it's not credible. Let's put it this way. An international would be credible, put the evidence over there and reach a conclusion. Said that Moscow has sent more than a dozen requests for legal assistance to Germany, Denmark, Finland, Switzerland, and Sweden, but only received a single formal reply from Copenhagen. Russian President Vladimir Putin and other officials suggested previously that the pipelines were targeted by the US or on Washington's behalf. My point is this. Remember when it was garbage elections, Gore versus Bush? Yeah, that Bush. All right. Remember, and Gore said in 10 years everything's going to be melted. We're going to be all swimming in the oceans. And we lived past 10 years, with an inconvenient truth. I watched that then. And I was like, well, I'm not convinced whatsoever. I need more evidence, not only this one. But anyway, what's going on here? I think you should be allowed to find out, or be allowed to look for the truth. Don't block these things. And I want to say something. Let me remember what the fuck I want to say. Yes, Bush, Gore, garbage. Remember the one, not with the imbeciles. And the courts in Florida blocked the recounting of the votes, which is finding the truth. No. They stopped because they said that would create some, I don't know what the fuck they said, but they defended the system. So they worked for the system, the status quo, instead of finding out who won the elections. I want to know. And it's very easy. Put observers at each freaking precinct or whatever to count them. At that time it was, I think, there was not the electronic voting machines, okay? And you find out and you tell me who won. I mean, no. Those guys intervene. The same here. There's no reason there's not going to be an outcome. You're not going to find anything. Can I try? No. Suspicious? You got them right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.